Welcome to the SWAYAM MOOC course NGOs and Sustainable Development. In this lecture, Unit 1, Module 7, we are going to see pollution control. The learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to learn about pollution control practices, understand the various devices used for pollution control, comprehend the measures to be taken for pollution control. What is pollution control? Pollution control is the process of reducing or eliminating the release of pollutants into the environment. It is regulated by various environmental agencies which establish the discharge limits allowed for the various pollutants coming from air, water and land. Pollution prevention protects the environment through conserving and protecting the natural resources. Further, efficient production process reducing the overuse and wastages helps in conserving our resources. Now, as shown in the picture, we have on the left hand side the source and on the right hand side we have the sink. The left hand side talks about the input reduction, that is the conservation mechanism, and the right hand side talks about the output management. The left hand side highlights how we can reduce the input in terms of conservation. The left hand side talks of efficiency improvement, reuse and recycle, and substitution. All of the above three are very cost effective and belongs to the low cost category. On the right hand side, we have removal through pollution control, remediate and restore. All of the above three are costly and belongs to the high cost category. Now, let us see what is the distinction between pollution control versus remediation versus restoration. Pollution control, it aims to remove the pollutant and dispose it in a landfill or incinerator, etc. Example, cleaning up the toxic fly ash from the electricity generation plants. This is very expensive. Now, when we go to remediation, remediation counteracts some of the effects of the pollution after it has been released into the environment. Example, treating the lakes contaminated with acid rain using lime. The process is of course very expensive. When we look at remediation, there are three types that we see. One is physical remediation, chemical remediation and biological remediation. If it is chemical remediation, we have chemical leaching, we have chemical fixation, electrokinetic remediation and vitrifying technology. If it is biological remediation, then we have phytoremediation, bioremediation, animal remediation. When it comes to restoration, restoration seeks to reinstate the environment to its former condition. The process is very expensive. There are basically three ways to prevent people from polluting. 1 through persuasion, 2 through regulation and 3 through incentives. If we are talking about persuasion, we can ask people to change their polluting causing behavior. This should be accompanied with education. This is of course very cheap and it is not very cost effective. When it comes to regulation, we can pass laws requiring less pollution, most useful when polluters are few in number and pollutions can be easily monitored. Example, hazardous waste from large factories. When it comes to incentives, we can reward behavior that reduces pollution. Example, tax incentives and subsidies for people using renewable energy. This would cost much but lowers the regulation. Example, deposit money to the person or organization when potential waste is purchased or used profitably, or make the polluter pay if he is discarding the waste into the environment. Now, let us see air pollution, water pollution and land pollution control in detail. Air pollution control. Air pollution control strategies can be classified as the control of particulate emission and the control of gaseous emissions. If we are coming to particulate emission, Particulate emissions can be reduced using different types of equipments. Physical separation of the particulates can be carried out using equipment such as settling chambers, cyclone separators, impingers, wet scrubbers, electrostatic precipitators, filtration equipment, to name a few. Now, what do we mean by settling chambers? Settling chambers uses the principle of gravity separation to remove the dust particles, thus reducing the particulate emissions getting discharged to the atmosphere. How does it work? A stream of air is sent through the air inlet. A settling chamber is quite long and has a large cross section. The velocity gets reduced when it reaches the settling chamber, allowing sufficient time for the settling of the solid particles. Thus, the settling chamber removes the particles present in the air. Number 2, cyclone separator. A cyclone separator or a cyclone collector is a cylindrical device with a conical bottom. This is used to create a tornado-like air stream. A centrifugal force is imparted to the particles so that the particles stick to the walls and roll downwards, while the cleaner air stream goes upward and exits through the top of the device. 3. Impinger. An impinger is a device that uses the inertia of the air stream to impinge on mist and dry particles on a solid surface. Dry particles tend to accumulate and to re-enter the airstream, whereas mists tend to pile up on the impinger plate as liquid develops and then drops off. To increase the effectiveness of collecting, liquid sprays are also employed to clean the impinger surface. 4. Wet scrubbers. By moisturizing the particles, wet scrubbers increase the removal of particles from the airstream. Wet scrubbers typically work against the current by a water spray contacting the gas flow. After becoming entrapped in the water droplets, the particular matter is separated from the gas stream. Wet scrubbers such as packed bed, venturi or plate scrubbers utilize the initial impaction, and cyclone scrubbers use centrifugal force. Electrostatic precipitators. Electrostatic precipitators are devices that uses electrostatic field to induce a charge on the dust particles and collect them on the grounded electrodes. Electrostatic precipitators are usually operated dry, but wet systems are also used, in which case a water mist is provided to aid in the process of cleaning the particles off the collection plate. Number 6, filtration. Filtration is one of the most time tested methods and a very effective way to remove particles. It has filters such as a cloth or a non-woven fabric which can use as an air filter. When air passes through these fabric or non-woven fabric, the particles gets deposited on the fabric surface. The most popular type of filtering device is a bag house. It consists of fabric bags through which the air stream is directed. Particles become trapped in the fiber mesh on the fiber bags, and the fiber bags containing the particles are removed. Next, coming to gaseous emissions. Gaseous emissions, similar equipment as we have seen in particulate reduction, can also be used to control the gaseous emission, and it is often used in conjunction with particulate control alternatives. Such devices include scrubbers, adsorption systems, condensers, flares and incinerators. Scrubbers use the adsorption phenomena to filter out the gaseous pollutants from the airflow. There are several different ways of scrubbers, including spray towers, pack towers and venturi scrubbers. A wide range of options are available that can be used as absorption agents. Lime, magnesium oxide or sodium hydroxide are normally used. The liquid is sent into the absorber and it absorbs and it goes out while the gas with the particles is sent from the bottom, deposits all the particles, and the clean gas or air goes out from the top as shown in the picture. Next, coming to the adsorption system. Adsorption can also be used to control gaseous emissions. Activated carbon is one commonly used adsorbent in fixed bed or fluidized bed adsorbers. It is kept at the center as shown in the picture. The dirty gas enters from the bottom. As it moves through the carbon bed, the gaseous emission pollutants gets absorbed in the carbon and the clean gas comes out at the top. Third, condensers. Condensers work so as to condense the vapors either by increasing the pressure or by decreasing the temperature of the gas stream. The polluted air is sent through the condenser tube, and as it moves through the condenser tube, the particles get deposited and the clean air comes out of the condenser tube. Surface condensers are usually of the shell and tube type, while contact condensers provide physical contact between the vapors, coolant and the condensate present inside the unit. 4. Incineration. Flaring and incineration take advantage of the combustibility of the gaseous pollutant. In general, excess air is added to these processes to drive the combustion reaction to completion. This forms carbon dioxide and water. Another means of controlling particulate emission and gaseous air pollutant emission can be accomplished by modifying the process which causes these emissions. For example, modification in the raw material, or it could be modification in the equipment or in the process which will help in reducing pollution. Also, using fuel cleaning methods such as desulfurization or increasing the fuel burning efficiency can reduce the particulate and gaseous emissions in air pollution. So, air pollution control can be summarized in this table. The particulate matter can be classified as coarse or fine or intermediate size particles or submicron particles, and we have the gaseous pollutants. Depending upon the type of pollutant, we can have the nature of device or mechanism. If it is particulate matter, coarse or fine, we can go for low energy units, and the type of devices could be settling chambers, cyclone separators or spray chambers. If it is an intermediate sized particles, with the device we can go in for a low energy unit, and the devices could be impingement separators or web scrubbers. Submicron particles could be high energy units, where we can use bag filters, electrostatic precipitators or Venturi scrubbers. Gaseous pollutants we can go for absorption, adsorption, condensation or incineration, and we can use filters, adsorbers and absorbers. Now coming to water pollution. We have seen about air pollution. In water pollution, there are three main types of treatment, which are physical, chemical and biological. Any combination of these three technologies is used in majority of the treatment plants. Additionally, conserving water is a good way to lower the amount of wastewater produced. 1. Physical. Physical forces are used in physical treatment systems to assist in the removal of contaminants. Physical processes which find frequent use of water pollution control include screening, filtration, sedimentation and flotation. Screening and filtration are similar methods which are used to filter out the coarse solids from the water. Suspended particles are also removed from water using sedimentation procedure. Just as in air pollution control, sedimentation device use gravity mechanism to remove the heavier, denser particles from the water stream. The various sedimentation basins which are used slows down the water velocity in the unit to allow time for the particles to drop down and settle at the bottom. Similarly, flotation uses the differences in particle densities to remove them from the water. fine gas bubbles are often introduced to hasten the process. They attach to the particles, causing them to rise to the top of the unit where they are mechanically removed. Next, coming to chemical. Chemical treatment systems in water pollution control include those processes which use chemical reactions to remove the water pollutants or to form less toxic compounds. Typical chemical treatment processes are chemical precipitation, adsorption and disinfection reactions. Chemical precipitation processes use the addition of chemicals to the water so that it enhances the precipitation of dissolved solids. The solid is then removed using sedimentation or filtration process. Chemical precipitation processes are used for the removal of heavy metals and phosphorus from the water. Adsorption processes are used to separate soluble substances from the water. Like in air pollution adsorption process, activated carbon is commonly used as an adsorbent. Water containing the pollutants are made to pass through beds of granulated activation carbon GAC or powdered activated carbon called PAC to remove the dissolved pollutants. Disinfection process selectively destroys the disease causing organisms such as bacteria and virus. Typical disinfection agents include chloride, ozone and UV radiation. Next, coming to the third type, biological. Biological water pollution control methods are those that use biological activity to remove pollutants from the water. These methods are used for the control of biodegradable organic chemicals including nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus. In these systems, microorganisms consist of bacteria convert the carbonaceous material present as well as the cell tissues into gas. There are two main groups of microorganisms which are used in biological treatment, namely aerobic and anaerobic microorganisms. Anaerobic bacteria do not require oxygen for growth. Each requires a unique type of environmental conditions. Aerobic processes occur in the absence of oxygen. In both aerobic or anaerobic process, the microorganisms exist either in suspension or attached to the surface. If the microorganisms are held in suspension, then it is called suspended growth, while if it is attached to a surface, then it is called fixed film process. Now, coming to the third, land pollution control. Solid pollution control methods which are frequently used include landfilling, composting and incineration. Landfilling. Sanitary landfills are operated by spreading solid waste in a compact layers which are separated by a thin layer of soil. Aerobic and anaerobic microorganisms help to break down the biodegradable substances in the landfill and produce carbon dioxide and methane gas. Landfills also generate a strong wastewater called leachate. This must be collected and treated to avoid groundwater contamination. Next, coming to composting. Composting of solid waste is a microbiological biodegradation of organic matter either through aerobic or anaerobic conditions. The process is very much suitable for readily biodegradable solids, for example, sewage sludge, paper waste, food waste, domestic waste, garden waste and other organic matter. This process can be done using agitated beds or static platforms or using a variety of reactors. The third is incineration. In an incineration process, solids are burned in large furnaces. This helps in reducing the volume of solid waste that enter the landfills, thereby reducing the possibility of groundwater contamination. Incineration residues can also be used for metal reclamation. These systems are typically supplemented with air pollution control devices. Environmental problems are so diverse and diffused. Many environmental problems are local in character and they can be controlled by environmental consciousness in people. People should be educated about the importance of a clean environment. The consequences of environmental pollution have to be informed among people. Some of the effective and practical control measures for minimizing the environmental pollution include: 1. Combustible solid waste should be burnt in incinerators. This method does not solve the problem completely, because in this, solid waste is getting converted to gaseous waste, causing air pollution. Unless it is properly controlled, incineration may result in more problem than in controlling the problem. 2. Solid organic waste, including excrement waste, tannery waste, should be converted into composite manure at a location far away from human settlements. The composting should be done in pits or in heaps, adequately covered with several layers of soil. It should be covered by soil to such an extent that it prevents fly breeding or rat menace, which are very important carriers of diseases. 3. Non-combustible solid waste materials like ash, rubbish, tins, glass pieces should be disposed in low-lying landfills. 4. Anaerobic septic tank can be used for individual houses or for small communities. In addition, aerobic biological treatment systems including trickling filters, activated sludge treatment and oxidation ponds can be used for liquid waste or sewage disposal. 5. Automobiles must be so designed so as to eliminate the use of gasoline and diesel oil, or there must be complete combustion in the engine so that the noxious compounds NOx, SO2, VOC, etc. are not emitted. The automobiles, trucks and other transport systems must have an anti-smog device. In some countries, factories are using devices like scrubbers, cyclone separators or electrostatic precipitators to reduce the pollution. 6. There should be reduction in the use of fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides and other agrochemicals which are being used in agriculture. 7. Excessive and undesirable burning of vegetation should be completely banned. 8. Sponges and towels that can be reusable should be encouraged instead of paper towels. Also, the use of paper cups, paper plates and similar such items should be removed. 9. Use of electric appliances can be reduced to decrease thermal pollution. 10. Washing soda and scourging pad can be used instead of detergents. 11. The 3R principle, which is reduce, recycle and reuse. Waste management need to be based on the 3R principle. Wherever and whenever possible, items such as used boxes, bags, plastics and bottles should be reused. 12. Since 40% of the phosphates comes from detergents, it is suggested that only those detergents that are low in phosphates should be encouraged. 13. Procuring of shampoos, lotions and similar such items in plastic bottles needs to be avoided. Research indicates in recent times that the use of plastic has resulted in cancer. 14. Smoking must be banned. It is mentioned that there is 500,000 tons of tobacco pollution occurring annually across the globe. 15. People need to be educated about the consequence of environmental pollution. 16. Legislation and regulations to safeguard the environment have to be very strictly enforced. 17. International action is required to deal with the problems related to highly toxic pollutants like lead, mercury, chlorine, which are released into the environment. The reason being, the effect of these pollutants are far reaching in terms of distance it is carried, the time frame it takes to get resolved, and the consequences from these pollutants. Successful implementation depends on the acceptance by industries and local authorities to reduce the quantity of these highly toxic chemicals, which are usually released as waste into the sea. Also, there is a need to modernize the factories and the waste disposal systems. Next, 18. Recycling of waste and sewage needs to be encouraged and enforced. 19. Environmental education is the best avenue to inculcate the importance of preservation and conservation of our resources and the natural resources. Environmental education includes the following major awareness of the situation and the problems, providing knowledge to deal with the issues, developing a positive attitude towards environmental issues, upgrading our skills to solve environmental issues, providing development or evaluation ability, increasing the public involvement and their participation, recognition to the fact that every individual, mankind, is responsible for what we have done to this planet Earth, and it is only our responsibility to solve this problem. If such an education is inculcated in the minds of young children at a very tender age, it has its benefits for years to come. Thus, it is clearly evinced that the following are very essential: both phytoremediation and bioremediation can be utilized to transform the contaminants into safe byproducts. These are organic solutions that require thorough measures to support them. Green agriculture. Sustainable agriculture is crucial because it aims to minimize the external contributions, phytosanitary products, diversifying the cultures, and the use of biological treatments to reduce the impact to the farmed environment. Sustainable forest management. The woodlands must be preserved. The earth starts to deteriorate and gets dry without the protection of the trees. So, preserving the soil from pollutants requires sustainable logging and forestry. Proper waste disposal. Effective garbage disposal, whether for residential or industrial trash, is one of the most important strategies to reduce large scale pollution. This is particularly true for the disposal of poisonous and hazardous trash, because we are able to segregate the trash at the This is particularly true for the disposal of poisonous and hazardous trash, because we are able to segregate trash at the starting initial level. Government has given several color codes for the easy disposal and recycle: blue for paper, green for glass, yellow for plastic, and red for metal. 3R principle. Utilizing non-biodegradable goods lessen the plastic pollution, which will eventually have an effect on land contamination. So, we need to reduce our usage and recycle as much as possible. Reusing and recycling every item is crucial. The fight against land pollution should also place a strong emphasis on environmental education. The work on pollution control and abatement is being carried out by Desalination and the Effluent Engineering Division of Bhabha Atomic Research Center BARC. There is a special Directorate of Radiation Protection, which is DRP, an all India organization whose responsibility is to keep watch on the extent of radiation users and publics are being exposed to. Their responsibility is to provide proper instructions to users for using the radioactive materials. Further, there is National Environment Engineering Research Institute NEERI, which is established at Nagpur that executes several studies on the different aspects of pollution. This institute has regional office in Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Jaipur, Kanpur and Ahmedabad. One more All India organization, Industrial Toxicological Research Centre ITRC, has been set up in Lucknow for the study and research of toxicological and environmental related issues. Now, let us see some questions and answers in this topic. Question 1. When is Pollution Control Day celebrated? National Pollution Control Day is celebrated annually on December 2nd. This is to remember the people who lost their lives during 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. The appalling industrial accident took place due to the leak of methyl isocyanate gas in the Union Carbide India Limited factory, a pesticide plant, on the night of December 2nd, 1984. It is also the day awareness about the hazards of air pollution. Question 2. Then what is June 5th celebrated for? Answer. It is the World Environmental Day. It is led by the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP and it is held annually on the 5th June since 1973. World Environment Day is a global platform for the environment public outreach and is celebrated by millions of people across the world. Question 3. What are the various air pollution control devices? The devices can be categorized into different types. Air pollution control could be thermal oxidizer, dust collection system could include baghouses, cyclones and electrostatic precipitators. Scrubbers could include baffle spray scrubbers, cyclonic spray scrubber, ejector venturi scrubber, mechanically aided scrubber, spray tower, webbed scrubber. Sewage treatment, sedimentation, activated sludge biotreaters, aerated lagoons, constructed wetlands come under sewage treatment. Industrial wastewater treatment includes API oil water separators, biofilters, dissolved air flotation, powdered activation carbon treatment, ultrafiltration. In addition, we have the vapor recovery systems and phytoremediation. To summarize, in this module, we have learnt about pollution control practices, understood the various devices that can be used for pollution control, and we have comprehended the measures that needs to be taken for effective pollution control. With this, we conclude this module. Thank you.